In this video, we are going to talk how to reprogram your subconscious mind. And I want to introduce you to the one cycle that will determine your fate if you do not do anything about it. But before we start, I want to ask you, why do most people struggle with change? Because I'm going to introduce you to the one critical mistake and lapse in their mindset that is preventing people from doing whatever they want from this life. Now, the first thing I want to touch on is how people actually become victim to subconscious programming. Now, what do I mean by that? People think that our mind is just one normal stream of thought, but what they don't understand is that our mind can be divided into conscious and subconscious thought patterns. Now, the conscious mind is the 10% of your daily experience that you are interacting with in the now. But the other 90% is the subconscious thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and programmings that you've been ingrained with your entire life that are dictating your thoughts and your reality against your will. Now, I want to introduce you to the fact that it is not an external battle. The battle you are actually coming up against is an internal one, and I'm going to help you learn how you can shift your reality and change that program at will. Now, the first thing I want to touch on is how focus shapes reality, because we've all heard the saying, where attention goes, energy flows. Now, you need to understand that your mind attracts. Now, how does it attract? We have currency as human beings, not dollars. We have time, we have energy, and we have attention. So, how much time are we leveraging through attention, which is giving our energy to a certain outcome? That is essentially the metaphysical equation of how we invest into our experience and how we are creating that subconsciously or consciously. Now, I want you to understand that the way we operate with this insight in mind is to understand that we have something called the glass half full concept. Now, if we know that where attention goes, energy flows, and we want to have a certain outcome in our life, and I'm guessing that certain outcome in life is going to be a more positive experience in the categories of life such as health, wealth, relationship, fulfillment, we want to attract a higher, more abundant frequency. Now, what is the glass half full concept? It means that we have a choice in how we perceive the experience. And this could be both positive or negative, because I want to introduce you to the fact that we can transcend the things we think we can't transcend. Now, the glass half full concept is actually the idea that you can train your mind for abundance. Now, when we look at a glass half full, we start to see the positive things. We start to have gratitude for the fact that there is water in the cup. Now, I want you to think about this on a broader spectrum. I'll give you an example for me as an entrepreneur. Let's say I had one of my best months. Let's say I did $100,000 in a month as an entrepreneur, and I was focusing on the clients I did not sign. I was focusing on the fact that I have to build these systems and these automations that are just eating away at me because the money wasn't worth it. You see how I'm aligning with a lower level frequency? I'm aligning with a frequency of scarcity, of fear, of lack. But if I look at that $100,000 month, I'm like, oh my God, Grant, look at how far you've come. This is what you dreamed of since you were an 18-year-old boy. You have every tool you need to succeed. And even though there are problems and still hurdles you need to navigate, you have all the proper resources to make sure you can do what you want as an entrepreneur. Now, we understand the concept that focus shapes our reality. But the one thing that I want to introduce you to is hypnotic paralysis, and how you may be coming face to face with this type of struggle daily, whether you are conscious or unconscious of the fact that this is going on. Now, the hypnotic paralysis can be described by Napoleon Hill in one of his books, Outwitting the Devil. And he uses something called the law of hypnotic rhythm. Now, in this book, Napoleon Hill is interrogating / questioning the devil, who is governing our material world and the experience we have, and is in the minds of the masses, preventing them from overcoming things to create what they want. And the biggest takeaway he had was that 98% of people are having the same thoughts, emotions, and habits, and they are never questioning it. Meaning, if you want to change your life, you need to understand that you are responsible for the thoughts, emotions, and habits. And you need to question, are those serving me or not? And if the answer is no, you need to change, and you need to reflect, and you need to ascend from a subconscious state of mind to a conscious state of mind where 2% of people or the 1% operate. This means that people are consciously choosing thoughts and beliefs that allow them to create the reality they want. Let me repeat that. People are consciously choosing thoughts and beliefs that create the reality we want. Now, there's going to be a concept I introduce you to over here, and I'm going to kind of tease at it right now. So there is a paradox you are experiencing in every moment. Now, if you want a positive experience, that inherently is creating a negative one because you are signaling a lack. But if you have a negative experience and you extract something positive from it, the glass half full effect, you inherently are having a positive experience. So I think the biggest thing people misunderstand is that life is not going to be perfect, that the struggles you go through and the hurdles you have to jump and the failures you face are consistent. There's never going to be a moment where you are just in some paradise and everything is going perfectly. But when you have a strong mind and a strong will and you understand things like your focus shapes your reality, you can look at things with a glass half full mindset, and that you do not need to fall into the hypnotic rhythm of your subconscious patterns. You can start to create reality at whim. Now, this is super important to realize because I don't want to give you false promises that you're going to have some perfect experience. I want to help you uncover the fact that with the proper knowledge, you can start to take responsibility and you can start to ascend to a place where you enjoy everything life throws at you and you can consciously create what you want from that input. Now, the one thing that I want to introduce you to is the self-reprogramming cycle, and I'm going to give you a step-by-step breakdown on how you can use it in your own life. But first, before we get there, I want to introduce you into something that a neuroscientist by the name of Joe Dispenza has stumbled upon and coined in his life research. Now, he has proven how our heart and brain are creating our reality. Now, what do I mean by that? Our thoughts are frequencies we send out into the quantum, and our emotions are electromagnetic frequencies that we are attracting back to us. So, we are engaging with the quantum field, the infinite potentiality, the unconditioned state of energy at all times. And this is why there's quotes like, if you do not make the unconscious conscious, you will look at your life and call it fate. Now, you have to understand that our heart is pulling things through these emotions and these strong emotions out of the quantum based on the thoughts we feed it. So here's where the programs come in place. Because if you're thinking about, oh my God, I'm going to be late for work, there's traffic, I'm having a terrible day, your thoughts are releasing chemicals in your brain that go to receptors in your body and all the different origins and give you a feeling. Now, this feeling is a strong emotion, and that strong emotion is going to cause you to think more thoughts of that frequency. You see how you have to just snap your fingers and learn to put yourself in a frequency where you can unlock things you want? Now, we don't have to go through life looking at the negativity. We can look at all the things that gets taken from us as one door closing so another can open. It's all in your mindset, and it's all in your ability to perceive and change your perception. The first step for the self-reprogramming cycle is going to be you have to learn to filter your inputs, because your media, people like your friends and your family, and just general thoughts that you have on a daily basis are programming you daily. Now, the more time you spend consuming other people's opinions, thoughts, and media, you are letting that program your mind and secure neural pathways that are going to validate that experience. Now, in media, in life, we're facing a lot of comparison, meaning that we're looking for things we lack in comparison to other people's lives. But what you do need to understand is that we have to go from a place of consumption to creation. And how do we do that? The first fundamental thing you need to do is open your mind to the potential that something like this will allow you to create a better life for yourself. You have to open your heart to new emotions and to understand that your familiar state of being does not mean it's set in stone and that you can change that. Step 2 is understanding the relationship of thought and emotion that I kind of referred back to when I described Joe Dispenza. So your thought, the frequency you send out, paired with a strong emotion of something positive, manifests, which is creating a coherence in your electromagnetic field. Now, your thoughts and emotions work together. This is why we have positive and negative charges. Think about the infinity sign. Something that goes out, comes back. Goes out, comes back. That's what's going on with your thought and emotions. You're sending thoughts out and you're drawing things back to you with what you feel. Because in our body, our thoughts are creating our emotions and our emotions are creating our thoughts. So once we change our thoughts and we overcome emotions that no longer serve us, we can start to interact with the field of infinite potentiality to draw whatever we want back with us. Now, this is where we start reprogramming and we literally start hacking reality. So let's move on to the next thing that I want you to understand. If you are not able to manifest something you want, you are not able to be in this state consistently, it's because you are not experiencing enough repetition. Repetition is what creates new neural pathways. It's what allows you to program your mind consistently to seek the reality you experience. And now there is biology and brain mechanisms that allow us to seek out more of what we focus on, right? Where attention goes, energy flows. Now I'm going to describe how it goes down in the brain. We have something called the reticular activation system. And if you believe you are bad, or you are bad at your job, you are not strong in the gym, your reticular activation system will aim to find that proof. Now, if you believe you are good at your job and you believe you are strong and you believe you have the ability to build whatever you want with this life, your brain is going to look for that proof. Do you understand that? We are literally wired to seek out the familiar experience. We are wired to seek out what we focus on. What we focus on grows and expands into our consciousness and our awareness, which in turn uses the heart and mind coherence to attract more of it into our life. Now, let's really dive deep into how you can reprogram your subconscious for success. So we talked about why people get stuck, because they are unaware of their subconscious programs. We talked about how you can enter into a self-reprogramming cycle and the science behind that. But now let's talk about how you can reprogram your subconscious for success. This is going to be positioning yourself at a higher frequency to attract more. So the first thing you need to understand is that you can't control every incoming thought or belief. It's not about controlling that. It's about transmutating it, learning that we do have the power to look at life in a glass half full type of manner. You can control what you focus on and how you respond. This is the biggest understanding. And this goes back to the paradox of the positive and negative outcomes I was describing, right? If we are seeking a positive experience, that inherently is a negative one, because we are lacking something positive in our life. So we are chasing something, which attracts more negativity, attracts more comparison, it attracts more lack into our life. Versus if life throws us negative things or challenges and struggles, and we accept them and find strength in them and use them as tools to learn, use them as tools to grow, that inherently is a positive one. That's why it's paradoxical. And trust me, I'm still trying to wrap my head around stuff like that. The first thing you need to understand when it comes to reprogramming your subconscious for success is you are going to need to attach a strong, positive state of emotion and feeling to the thoughts that you desire or the reality you desire. Now, Joe Dispenza, in his practices, he really emphasizes the importance of meditation, because meditation allows us to create a space of nothingness in between our impulse and our action. Now, I'll describe to you something that I've gone through. Maybe you can find something in this. I used to smoke a lot of weed. And when I would smoke that weed, I would eat shitty food. So those were two impulses that I programmed into myself that were not helping me by any means. When I would say yes to the weed, I would give in to that impulse. So I would naturally start that descension into spiral of a lack of self-respect and a lack of control in my inputs. And when it would come to eating, I would eat terrible things for me because I had no control of that impulse. It was literally just a brain impulse, chemicals being released into my body that made me make that decision. When you meditate and you journal and you become aware and you set an intention is the idea that you are going to put action behind a desire and create change. Versus if you just think and affirm something, you're missing the action. You're missing the material accumulation of skill and input to achieve that. Now, When we meditate, we create that space in between that impulse and that action. This is why meditation is so important. Not because you silence your mind, but because you learn in stillness there is potential. This is what the quantum field is. In the stillness, there is infinite potentiality. When we realize that we are not these impulses, we are not these thoughts, we are not these emotions, and despite feeling unmotivated or like we don't want to do something, we can change. We are allowed to create a new reality for ourselves. The impulse is like an emotion, and we can sit with it and choose a new positive thought. We can start creating new neural pathways and attract a more positive experience into our life. Now, the second thing you need to understand is that repetition rewires the neural pathways. These neural pathways are used to seek out a more positive experience if you let them. This is what we were talking about with the reticular activation system. The neural pathways, when rewired through repetition, allow you to experience more positivity. It's not about what you add, it's about what you say no to. That's the biggest secret I've learned. It's not about saying, oh, I need more money, I need more love, I need more girls, I need more cars. It's about learning that the glass is half full and that the concept of enough is enough. Now, in conclusion, you need to take control or your past is going to repeat itself. If you do not take control of your subconscious programming and learn to reprogram it in the direction you want to go, you're going to experience your past and call it fate. To truly experience permanent and long-term change, you need to shift your identity. You need to become someone new. And the process Joe Dispenza talks about is you go from thinking to doing to being. And if you're watching this video, I'm sure a lot of people are stuck in the thinking phase, which is why it can feel like paralysis, because people don't do anything about it. Because they think that you can just affirm or manifest something into your life. No, you have to put in the work. I do not care what anyone says. When I was $80,000 in debt and I was addicted to substance, I thought I could manifest my way out of that. But nope, I had to do the work. I had to experience the pain. I had to experience the struggle. I had to experience the guilt. But on the other side of that, I became someone new. And that someone new built a $1.5 million business. That someone new lost 40 pounds. Because I programmed my mind to seek out that success, to accept nothing below the standard I set for myself. And finally, you are the creator of your reality. You are not the victim. And once you become aware and unlock the proper resources to understand this, you can start chipping away at the process of becoming who you were destined to be. So if you like this video and you want to see more breakdowns of how science and spirituality come together and unlock our power as a creator, I want you to drop a like, subscribe, and drop a comment. I want to know what you guys want to see from me next. So I will see you in the next one. Peace.